Hi everyone, how's it going? Today I've got a few updates and announcements for you. I was going to deliver those to you as I gently plodded through my local countryside, but I can't be arsed. The weather's not great, so I'm doing it in here instead. The first big announcement, and it is a big one, is that I am currently hard at work editing my latest and by far my most ambitious adventure to date, which is the straight line mission across England. Yeah, I attempted this frankly borderline insane endeavour back in January, and you can expect to see the first episode to be released sometime in May. Can't tell you exactly when. Now, as you can imagine, the editing for this one is going to be a bit of a monster task, and while I do have to do most of it myself, due to the storytelling nature of my videos, I am actually now looking for a bit of help with the editing. I'm seeking the assistance of an experienced editor who has worked on similar types of projects, preferably videos that have voiceovers in them, kind of like the Top Gear specials as well. You would need to be in the UK. You'd need to be pretty flexible and free and have a good understanding of what my channel is about, my style, the humour, the flow and the pace of the videos, that sort of thing. That might be a lot to ask, I don't know, but I am a picky guy. I have high expectations, so if you do meet all of this criteria, please send me an email to this address. And yeah, just do your best to convince me why you're the perfect guy for the job, including links to your previous work, your portfolio, etc., etc. And I will whittle down the best candidates, but please only email if you are sure that you are right for the job, because I am a bit of a one-man band, hence why I need help with the editing. And sadly, I don't have time to sift through hundreds of emails. And it's not just for this adventure, by the way. There will be plenty more adventures in the future, you'll be pleased to know. Ones that I'll probably need help on. So if I find the right guy, this could be a permanent thing. So, biggest mission ever on the horizon for you guys. This means that before then, so for the next month, the geography videos will be once a week and relatively tame, I'll do my best to get a couple of geo detectives out for you, but I can't promise that they'll be really intense ones. But maybe this will change if I find the right editor. Album! That's right, I will be releasing an album around the same time actually as the England series. A proper album that I wrote the songs for and that I will be playing the instruments on. Well, I've already played them, we're just mixing it now. Singing as well, and all that shit. It's exciting, isn't it? But not only that, I plan to release merch. Tasteful, stylish, and amusing, I like to think. Merch that I know you'll all love, although I'm still in the process of forming the ideas. That might be a little later, in the summer perhaps, but big things for 2024. And both of these things, the merch and the physical copies of the album, will both be joining those fabulous posters on the official GeoWizard store. Patreon, this is a big one. I'm going to be focusing a lot of time and effort on Patreon going forward. Trying to get the balance right between YouTube and Patreon, but YouTube is less lucrative these days. The views are going down, and Patreon is a good way for me to make up for that income. So I'm going to be rewarding you with some great content on Patreon. But actually, what many people don't realize is there's already a stack of great content on there ready for you to sign up and watch all of it. There's a real catalogue now that's built up. You've got, the urban exploration videos with Ben. You've got survival and foraging videos with Ben, where we had a right laugh.
Mate, we don't need more than that. Fucking hell.
There's quite a few adventures with Verity. including a northern Spain road trip with a tent, which was calamitous at times.
Oh, so scared.
Cycling across Bavaria over a week, where I proposed to Verity. There's loads of random videos on there, like me rescuing some ducklings from a drain. There's the time I thought it would be a good idea to jump over this. Lots of little things like that. I mean, these videos stretch back for years, but in the past few months alone, we've had the mission to the service station, which is the final episode, episode 6 in Barcelona to Berlin, the rest of which can be found on YouTube. You've got the sequel, in a way, to when me and Ben Cook and Adam Cook ran across Wales on that very, very cold day, and we somehow picked another ridiculously cold day to run across the Pennines. There is another old school mission with Welsh Greg, which we did in January, in which we retrace the steps of that original Tamworth mission that I talked about in Tenner in My Pocket. And the latest of many videos with Uncle Ed, this time racing the local bus on foot in what we dubbed Man versus Bus. Really good fun. And this Sunday, Easter Sunday, I race Uncle Ed again in another no roads mission of sorts, but it's another race, man versus kayak. Ed's going to be floating down a river in a kayak, which should be funny in itself, and I'm going to be racing my way through farmers' fields and footpaths and things like that. No roads allowed. That could be the best adventure to date on Patreon. Having said that, the best one on there is actually available on the $1 tier, which is the No Roads lockdown mission across Aldridge, one of the first things I did. It's an absolute corker, and it's on there for the price of a can of Coke. I know which one I'd rather have. Of course, you get all the early access to all my adventures, as well as the bonus footage, both of which are on the $1 tier. But do have a look at the spreadsheet that I'm going to link in the description to this vid, and check out the full list of videos that are actually on my Patreon. I think you'll be surprised how much is on there. Last but not least, we need to talk about Russ. Russ Cook, aka the hardest geezer. Now, many of you will know Russ and his exploits, but for those who don't, he was the mad ginger bastard who ran with me every step of the way as I dribbled a football across England a couple of years ago. And he is in the process of, in fact, he's actually not far from completing the most insane feat of human endurance in the history of mankind. Come on, Tom, you're exaggerating again. Am I? I don't know. I mean, I actually think that might be a fair description. I can't think of anything. It's insane. I don't think people realise. He has ran from the southernmost tip of Africa all the way up it. And he's closing in on the most northern tip of Africa in Tunisia. Nearly 10,000 miles, 368 marathons so far, and in less than a year, so over one marathon a day. In fact, this, I'm going outside.
Running down the avenue, see how the sun shines brightly. That's one of my tunes off my album, actually. It's called Running Down the Avenue .wav. Available on LimeWire. Just kidding, Jeff. Where were we anyway? Russ has been kidnapped by tribesmen twice in the same day. He's pissed blood. He's been stalked by what he thinks were leopards. His support van nearly fell in the sea at one point. And just the other week, he nearly didn't make it into Algeria after being on the road for 7 or 8 months. Can you imagine? He's had his fair share of problems, it's fair to say. But despite all that, he's still going. And I think it's incredible. But as incredible as it is, I think they should have raised more. And it's not their fault that they've only raised $250,000. I know, it sounds ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, that's a lot of money. 250,000 or more. Incredible figure. But I think they deserve more, because if you think about your average BBC presenter who cycles 200 miles, you know, across Britain or something. The figures just don't compare, and obviously it's about exposure, which is why I'm doing this video. The exposure and the word just isn't quite there for Russ. I meet many people who haven't heard of what he's doing, and they should have done, because it is incredible. I mean, it's easy to forget how big Africa is. It's so big. The maps don't do it justice. Now, I know we're bombarded with, you know, charity events and donation slips these days, and I know everyone can't afford to give, but I think if you're going to sponsor anyone for a physical endeavour, this has to be it. So I'm just going to urge you to check out the description below, open up those links and just chuck a £5 in. I'm going to be chucking in a little bit more. Oh, there's my gel. And if you don't want to donate, just spread the word. Russ, just like myself, you know, used to be a bit useless once upon a time, always out partying, not much of a direction and not much of a positive influence on the world, but he turned his life around through running, really. And now look at him, he's inspiring anyone who he comes into contact with in a profound way. So we need to celebrate these people. And just while we're on that note, guys, just to finish up here, I want to give you a friendly reminder to do what I did today and go outside. I didn't want to at first, but I have done. I mean, look at this place I've found myself in. It's beautiful. There we have it. I've run out of things to blabber on about. Thanks for watching this vid. Check out all the information that I've just talked about in the description below. Have a great day, whatever you're doing. Keep on adventuring, keep on trying, and take it easy. Oh, and report these f***ers on TikTok. They're stealing my content. There it is. There's the hail. Of course. But that's okay. I'm going to keep smiling anyway.